welcome to the stream! Happy Friday! We're doing something new this Friday. Where this is not the typical Community Night Friday. We're gonna start doing those every other Friday. So yes, next Friday, I've got some shenanigans stored that are different and unique. This Friday, though, however, is Group 1 of Stardew Valley. So this group will be consisted of the Stardew Valley players, so that we can, concentrate on the game and the shenanigans, of course. But welcome, everyone. Welcome. Blinking right off the bat, Michigan. Oh my gosh, why? Why are you blocking me? Lemon hugging the bot. She loves bots. They're beautiful, just like her. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for the support. You guys are more than welcome to hang out in the general voice chat tonight and commute amongst each other. But tonight will be the Stardew group tonight. And then next Friday will be the usual Community Night team. But I can't wait for that night either. It's gonna be fun. I got some crazy things in store. But again, I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. And cheers. We made it through another week. Stay beautiful, stay salty. However that goes. Whatever it says. This is my version. Alright, I'm gonna go get the peeps from Discord so they can join us. So, are you ready? Are you excited for some Stardew shenanigans? I've got some surprises in store for them, and I'm excited. I'm super excited. So, we're gonna see how this goes today. Alright, let's see. Let me grab them. Make sure I push all the right buttons.
Yeah.
Hi all, welcome.
Yeah.
I wish to join.
I haven't started it yet. I have Prince, I have Michigan, I have Lemon, and I have, of course, the Lady Rain here tonight. We may have some others coming in and out to play Stardew as well tonight who are on the list. We'll see. But for now, that's what we're starting with. And the shenanigans will begin shortly. Oh, I love those. Those are the best. Because then you know that whatever you're saying, half your audience doesn't hear. Okay. Alright, I'm going to co-upload Hacks 1.6. You know why I named it 1.6, of course. I'm sure you can figure it out. As you guys may join, I'm gonna switch screens in just a second after the password goes by and all that. Y'all can join via Steam. You just joined my game via Steam.
Oh, okay. We're all sitting here. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for the password to go by and you can join my game via Steam.
Oh, I can just see it right now. No, wait.
Yeah. There we go. Password is gone. Go to gaming so the audience can see. Hi,
Thanks
audience.
for the achievements right off the bat.
Yeah. I mean, all the things and stuff. I don't know how that happened, do you?
Because of the money.
Alright, I got to, first of all, unfreeze time, because we are not freezing time unless we are, so visit your chest, switch out your tools, and I would advise your first day to run to the community center and expand your bag. Well, actually, he's closed the first day. Or no, today's technically not the first day. So you can go. I received hay in my box. What did you guys receive?
Hey.
Oh, I have to make a character first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm already reading my mail because of reasons. And yeah, that's gonna take a while as well. Because apparently having all those achievements. Unlocked a heck ton of mail. Yeah. Okay now. I'm just really curious who's waking up and what house we have today. I'll say hi to our chickens. One name is Peanut, apparently. I wonder what the other one's name is. Oh, they were hiding behind each other. Hazel. We have Hazel and Peanut. Welcome to the farm, Hazel and Peanut. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited to see what they wake up in. I'll show you guys why. Oh, well, there's our first active person. Is that Prince?
That's me.
Hi, Prince.
Hello.
Okay, so Prince has a nice stone house. Lovely, lovely indeed. Okay. This is the house that I'm curious about.
Ooh.
Did you see?
I like my rings.
Oh yeah. Try on your rings.
I got hay.
I'm guessing we all got hay to feed the animals.
Oh yeah,
I
from
got
Meadowland.
hay also.
So we could make a chest immediately outside the chicken thing and just throw all our
Oh,
hay in
where
it.
am I? Hey,
Okay.
stop.
I want to know where you spawn in at too. Because maybe we could ask politely and Rain will make us some signs in our houses when she spawns in.
I got hay.
Okay, so we all got hay for chickens. Are you the
Oh, hey, I
red-haired
see
one?
someone.
You red-haired girl?
I'm not red.
Lemon.
Sweet. I almost made my hair red. That's funny. I changed it at the last minute to pink. Hello! We would have been twinsies because I almost made my hair red.
Oh, what the fuck? I'm all the way out here?
Where are you at? Oh, which house did you get? The one down here, the log cabin?
Yep.
Okay, so everybody spawned in. The house that I was laughing about is the one on the very top left.
Oh yeah, the trailer.
The trailer. You get the, well, what is it? What do they call this? RV. Yeah. The RV.
Oh,
I
I'm
was-
right by the cave.
I'm hoping somebody gets the RV. That's who I'm hoping. Yeah,
Well,
you're
that
right by
would
the
fat-
cave.
That would fat me or whatever.
Green Mono. Oh, why is the not showing?
I don't know.
That's weird. The game did that the other day too, remember?
No,
For Stardew wouldn't show?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I did it before and I have
Sweet,
to...
awesome, hollow.
Thank you so much for saying something. I think I'm gonna have to switch my properties back and forth between gameplays is what it is. The modded version and the unmodded version. Thank you so much for saying something. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I had it to capture it, but apparently I didn't like the modded version. I had to go into the properties of the channel and change it.
Mm.
I forgot we can do everything. Rules are limitless. You don't have to wait to do the hardwood. I'm like sitting here avoiding all the hardwood, not even thinking about it. True streamers, so we can see this new house, right? See, there's an RV. That's so funny.
So I guess I gotta go buy the shit out of some Joja Cola.
Some of these houses are falling apart. And some of them are nice stone houses. And we'll eventually put names on the houses before you guys leave the game today. That way we know whose house this is to.
So I went and bought the packs, and I'm talking to all the people who are exercising. Marnie smiles at you through a mist of sweat. Thanks, Marnie.
No, I've just got Stardew Valley installing now. Sweet, are you gonna play with us? That'll be awesome. Okay. If you're gonna play with us, then I'm gonna hook you up. Join the waiting room, and I'll pull you in.
Do you want me to buy any seeds while I'm in the grocery?
Oh yeah, go for it. Buy what we think we need. And does he have sprinklers for sale yet? While you're at it?
No, he does not.
See. So I think eventually he will have them for sale depending on what your proficiency is.
Oh.
Once your proficiency level goes up, I think you can just flat out buy them.
Gotcha. I'll just buy a little bit of everything.
So that'll be
Anyone
great.
know where Sam's at?
Probably at Jojo Mart.
No, that's okay.
No,
You're allowed to be new to the game. I'll teach you all the things.
And then he left.
Oh, lame.
Oh no, I accidentally chopped down part of the fence. Good thing I can fix that on day one.
I wonder if he's on the beach. He goes to the beach sometimes. Oh, there he is.
But yeah, Michigan, did you go expand your bag? And Prince, did you go expand your bag?
I went to the store, guys.
Okay, because you can expand it up to the 3rd level, which gives you 3 rows of inventory space. And then you can do that.
Okay, yeah, I didn't do that. I did the second one.
Yeah, you can do all 3. I may be causing more
Alright, I
destruction.
officially now
than I want
have
to.
a heart with him.
God damn, you move quick.
I bought 10 Jojo Cola.
I did not turn up my speed that high. I turned it up like just a little higher than normal. I know I'm about dead here, so. But I made a chest for inside the chicken coop. If you'll drop all your extra hay in there, feel free to do so to help feed the babies.
Sorry, I'm just buying a whole bunch of shit.
Sweet!
I got
Okay.
the money, I'm gonna use it.
Alright, let me grab Jay.
No, that's fair. I just bought all the rest of
He's
it.
going to join our game. If it'll let
Oh,
me.
oops, I
There we
gave
go.
Shane a beer before I even.
Hi Jay, welcome.
Hello.
I couldn't find Emily.
He's behind the bar.
She's in the bar.
Are we
Oh,
Steam
dude.
friends? I'm sure we are from golf. You can just join my game via Steam.
Do be aware I don't have a webcam at the moment.
That's okay. You don't have to have a webcam. We're not displaying each other live. So I'm weak on energy, so I'm gonna go to the bar and have me a meal. Oh Mono! I got the money today and bought Scarlet DLC, so now I've got all the content for both games. Meaning I can help anyone with their decks. That is awesome! Yeah, I'm gonna go buy some food because I think it started some food here too. I don't think I've ever bought food. Ooh,
No,
spaghetti.
Here we go.
Pizza? Pizza. I'm gonna buy a couple pizzas to give myself all the help I need. I bought like 15 pizzas because I'm a hungry girl and I can eat a whole pizza in one sitting. I was picking a sitting and I want to sit while I'm at it. I'm gonna go ahead and buy some beer so I can start romancing people.
Fuck you too, Haley.
Can we buy
More for those
LL
horrendous
here?
clothes.
Okay. So I bought a beer. That way I can say hi to everybody in the bar right off the bat and offer them a beer. I have no clue who I'm romancing in.
Oh, we getting everybody drunk, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what we're supposed to do? Oh, what? Sorry.
Give them the bar person. I gave them one too.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
sunny Michigan. Would you like beer?
Yes.
Ooh, and now we can hoard everything instead of selling things, right?
Yeah. You can hoard anything and everything. You don't have to sell anything.
I
Save
think
it
I'll
all
win
for the
game with you
community
guys.
center if you want. Money will be unlimited. That is the thing. You can use your imagination and your funds. We're all millionaires on this farm. And we can do whatever
Oh,
we
it's a
want.
slime farm.
Oh god, I gotta get over there. I'm excited.
Right, am I in the same game as you guys? Because I don't know.
You should join Hacks 1.6.
Oh, okay.
So you'll want to pick co-op from the main menu. So exit out, hit escape, and exit to title screen. And then go to co-op and online.
Oh, it looked like you were in the right place because I see that you just quit.
Oh yeah, you just quit. You
Oh.
were in the right place. Never mind.
Right. I'm coming back then.
Right again. Yes. And then you just have to build your character real quick. That's probably where you're at. Where are they at? Where are the slimes?
Apparently, they're just all following me.
Oh.
Looks like I got monster musk on me.
You see nothing. It is fun killing them, by the way. I don't know if you noticed yet.
Yeah, the drops are freaking great. Oh, hey, bat.
It's not just a drop, though, that's happening. Pay attention
You
closely.
really think
to
it was a good idea to
To
give
have
us
more monsters spawn?
no that type of ring, Mono? Because
Yes.
there is a corner missing of this fence.
For the first few weeks, yeah, or days, yes. For the first 7 days, it's great because it's helping us clear the farm faster. So basically, what's happening is when you kill a slime, they explode, and they're killing up
that's
ground and rocks and
why.
trees and everything. And that's why we're freaking out because anything we build or create, as long as you have that ring on, it's going to get destroyed until we just take those rings off. But since it's day one and we're just destroying things anyway, it's fine. It's nighttime. I can shut the chickens in their little coop.
Anywhere in particular you want us to plant shit, or is it cool to just plant stuff in front of my house?
You could plant in front of your house if you wish, or you could plant near the water.
Well, I have water right in front of my house. That's why I was thinking I might just do it here.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Let's see, because as long as there's a watering hole in the iron, I think that's the best.
And I guess now we can all afford seeds, so I guess we don't have to worry so much about...
And hopefully we'll be able to buy sprinklers fairly quickly.
Is there a
and then you
certain
don't have to do
is
anything.
there a certain time to go to bed, or
Yes,
Oh,
we gotta
yes,
go to
now!
bed now. We're gonna die day one. Good thing my money's unlimited because we just
Thank
lost
you for saying that,
$50.
Michigan.
I
I
didn't
was
make
sitting
it.
by my bed. I was literally
The
by
only
my
one
bed.
that went to bed, did I?
I was sitting
Yeah.
by my bed.
By the way, yes,
Actually.
started heading to bed at 1 a.m.
Spending the
Okay.
night in the hospital.
Wait, this isn't Genshin LL. No, it's not Genshin LL. But do you want to play?
I was
You
literally
know you wanna
sitting
be a
there, like,
Stardew
passed out. I was
fan.
like, do we have to go to bed?
I can get you hooked on another game.
I was in the hospital.
Alright.
Slime got me.
Yeah.
I guess I
And
can
this one
see
we're
it.
doing all the hacks and shenanigans, so I gave them explosive rings on day one.
Oh yes, I see a child behind you.
One day a friend of yours talked about this
It's been
game.
weird if you
I
said that
love this
thing.
game so much. This game is life. I have just as many hours in this game as Genshin, if not more. Probably more.
I'm
It's me,
gonna
so
buy seeds
hot.
just for fun.
Okay, Poke, come to old house, Poke. Bring coin.
Huh.
Who said
I
that?
keep finding cool stuff, but my backpack's full.
And did you expand it?
Oh yeah, I already expanded it.
Oh
my
wow, so it's
goodness.
already full. I think I have... My bag isn't full yet, so...
Well, it's
I'm
closed on
just gonna
Wednesday.
go in the
so
house and drop stuff off. But yeah, Erlem, if you ever get the notion to play this game, let me know. You're more than welcome to join us and participate.
Oh, sorry. What time does the bar open?
Noon?
Later.
Noon?
Oh, noon? Yeah, Rose knows. She's the expert.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just have a weird affinity for time.
I might play at some point.
Time and
Do it!
space?
If you do, let me know. Let me know. I will definitely teach you all the things. It would be so much fun.
I'm clearing out all the grass. I don't give a shit.
Jay asked 500 questions since you were brand new.
Oh, right, we can buy hay now.
Money is unlimited in this modded game. And your
Where do you-
tools in the chest in your house, the purple chest, I provided you with all the tools you'll ever need. So make sure you swap out the ones in your inventory for the better tools. And then I gotta come find you, and I'm gonna take you to town and show you where to expand your...
Is
Nick!
my one
It is
hit
PC.
break okay?
Is your what?
My one hit break okay?
Ooh. He's already
Nobody else
cheating.
can do it. Nobody else can do it.
I
dare
mean,
you.
if they have the same mods, they
I
could.
turned off everything. So, everything. Actually, your one hit break, you don't need that because you're gonna one hit with that tool anyway.
Am I?
Pretty much one hit with your tool anyway. Well, 2 hits for a tree. And then the third for the stomp. So it's not bad. But yeah, it's totally PC heirloom. And Nick, thank you so much for that alert. Can I get a shout out if any mods are in chat for heirloom and Nick Dothy?
Are we gonna have like a community chest thing, or I don't know where to put the hay or anything?
You can build your own self. Oh, the hay goes up in the barn with the chickens.
Right.
Put the hay in there. And then as far as a chest, you can put all your stuff in your house chest.
Yep.
And then you can just hoard all your stuff to yourself. Because we can be greedy farmers this time. We don't have to be community Patreons. If you need something, just ask the other players too.
Oh, hey,
This
hey,
game-
Miss Ken.
Yeah.
A little bit different play
you
style.
know
But
where
yeah,
the
I
chicken
want to
is?
see where Jade spawns in at.
Yeah, I'm just
Oh,
resting
are you
the
looking for the
character at
chickens,
the
Miss
moment.
Yeah.
Follow me.
He's kind of got a little bit beat up
Oh,
from that slime.
thank you.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
I
Oh,
forgot
yeah,
that you're
because it
not
probably
modded.
started you in with half health.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you, Jay, if we go to town, you can buy food to heal yourself. But I don't know which house you're in yet.
Oops, sorry, Joe.
How dare you? Oh, it's almost noon. You know what that means? I don't know. This bar. I'm the town drunk. Just kidding.
No, that's Shane.
Well,
Not to be confused with Mod Shane.
Yeah, no,
Alright, Jay.
not Mod
no,
Shane.
both of them.
Game
Which
Shane.
color is your house and your appearance on the outside? Are you standing on your porch yet?
I'm still inside at the moment, just resting my character.
I'm gonna show you how to fully heal your character.
You just have to leave your house.
Yeah, you have to leave your house so I can figure out where you're at.
2 seconds. I'm doing 2 things at the same time right now.
Oh! He's multitasking.
Yeah, making the cigarette and yeah.
Okay,
There you
well
go.
when you're done,
I'm
and
done.
you're ready.
I'm done.
let me know and I will find you. I just don't want you to feel like we forgot you since you're brand new. I want to make sure. Is that you?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, you got the RV. You got the RV. Okay, come with me. All right, welcome to the farm.
Okay.
all these other shenanigan players. So yeah, follow me up here. Up here is make farmhouse. A clue is if you are new to this game and it gets like 1 a.m., find the closest bed. If you are way out in the mine, you need to leave at 12. Alright, come this way. We're gonna go to town, but that big
you
farmhouse
can go
is
in
mine.
anybody's bed.
Yeah,
Just
I'm with
live
ya.
there.
As long as they're not blocked.
Right, and if you drink lots of coffee, you can go faster. But I'll have to get you coffee first. And pizza to give you energy. So, first go in here. We're gonna expand your bag.
Okay.
it's
Oh, they're
Wednesday.
closed on Wednesdays,
Yeah,
never
I
mind.
was trying to do
Alright.
that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Couldn't
let's
see.
come to the bar. This is the bar. This is Stardrop Saloon.
Hey, this is the bar. This is where
Uh,
I live. 90%
Come over
of
here to the
time.
cash register and buy, oh, where'd it go?
It's not
Hey,
letting me
Luis
in.
J.
Oh, there it goes.
Did you show your ID?
I'm in.
Okay, go to the cash register and buy pizza.
It's right over here.
Yeah, the little gray thing looks like a pot of soup or something. It's cash register.
Uh,
Buy you some pizzas and you can eat as much pizza as you want in order to, like, I bought like 20. And they give you all the help. And then go ahead and buy beer because you can make friends with everybody by handing them beer.
Except for the children. Don't give the
Except for
children
the
beer.
children. Don't give the children beer.
It
Or
all
penny.
depends.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
like
yeah,
3
penny.
players that hate it, but that's about it. And then,
Oh,
yes.
perfect. Sorry.
But at the next day, when the other shop opens, we'll be able to expand your storage bag, and you can hold lots of things. Like right now, you'll just have to put your extra stuff in your chest in your house.
rightio. Right, there we go.
Don't
Got it all.
say.
No, Emily. Emily thinks
You
I'm a stalker.
can search trash cans, but don't get busted. Like you can right click on that trash can and see if any goodies come out. Oh, somebody already did. Maybe. Oh, you gotta right click or left click, I should say.
Yeah, I'm doing that. And it's...
Okay. All right. Come this way. I'll see if anybody checked this one. Oh, here's the beach down here. Look, you can find Lemon down here fishing already. Lemon's a pro fisher.
I wish.
Pulling up fish.
No.
Well,
I'm
down
no
here's
pro.
the beach.
You are the pro fisher, Rain.
Someone
This
just
is
got
the
a small
beach.
bass.
Regardless of if it's vanilla or not.
This is where, you know, everything happens. Yeah, I need 300 wood.
Oh, I got wood on me. Not
I
a lot,
don't think
though.
300 pieces yet. Oh, you know what I could do? I could build a little chest and put it here, and people can just drop their wood in for expansion purposes. Let's see. And once we reach 300 in this chest at the beach,
736 right now.
there we go. I'm gonna drop my 39 pieces on me in there. And then, you know, once it eventually gets to 300, based on contributions, then we can expand that pathway.
There we go.
Poke catch, guys, if you catch a Pokemon.
There's 44 in there now.
Mm-hmm. Think. See. And then, alright, let's go.
Okay.
Algae.
Lucky me.
After a couple days, the mine will open. After a couple days, the community center will open. Fun stuff. Museum's closed, try to take you there, but yeah, there's other RVs on the thing, so I think it's cool that you got one as well. But we're gonna head back to the farm and do some work. Clearing out the,
Don't worry
the
about
land.
it. I've got most of the trees down.
Look at
Well, I
you.
can tell. I was trying to make a chest.
I mean, we can go up here and snag some trees too.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a chest in here. This is stupid.
Don't worry. I'll make a wood chest. Don't worry. We'll be alright.
And then
I'll go
Yeah.
fishing the next day.
we can make some chests and throw them outside my house or something if people really want to throw stuff at me.
got a community.
I think this one's a tree.
Hey.
That one's a fake tree.
Would help if I was actually facing it.
That one, oh yeah, that one doesn't chop.
Neither does the other one.
Hey, the slimes are out. Yay.
No, not again. Not again. Not again.
You gotta kill it with your sword.
I don't have one. I've only got a scythe, pickaxe, and
You
Hoe
didn't
and
take it
axe.
out, or-
You didn't get everything out of the chest in your house? Okay, go back to your house and look for the purple chest and swap out for the nice purple tools.
I was clicking on it, but it weren't opening for some reason.
Oh yeah, you gotta
You have
left
to
click
right
on
click
everything.
it.
Yeah,
I think
or
I'm
right
going the
click,
right
yeah.
way.
Right click. I said left click, didn't I? Yeah, right click on the chest and
There we go.
you get all the goodies out of there. And put all your silver stuff in there because you don't need any of that.
Just be careful where you kill slimes, because Rose has crops out now.
Yeah, and I know some
Oh,
crops you
okay.
can't run over either, right? Yeah. So,
I'll hold on to the wood and all that. And take that up to the beach.
Venus! Hi! Venus says hi to everyone.
hello.
Hello. Alright, there we go.
How is everyone doing? So far, so good. Making things blow up is fun.
Well, I got Emily's number, so.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I like how the health bar comes up because there's slimes.
I went to bed a little early just because I'm gonna go fish the next day.
Rain, why you
Eat
making
pizza!
crosses all up in front of my house?
Eat pizza, Michigan. You don't have to go to bed early.
It's not my fault.
We
Did
got
you buy
1
any
hour,
pizza
right?
yet? Huh?
We got 1 hour, right? Well, I'll have full energy actually. To be fair.
Yeah. You're just worried about dying, huh?
Thanks.
No, I just want to not be that person who's running. You said
He doesn't
one,
want
so
us
I-
waiting on him.
It's nice and warm in my house. I have a fire. Why
Just
would
be
I have-
careful if you don't want to take damage. They explode.
Yeah. If you get tired of everything exploding, just take off your fiery looking ring. That's not a requirement. Just be careful near everybody's other building things once they start building. Right now I'm enjoying it because it helps dismantle everything.
We got 3 out of 6.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's time to go to bed. Find the nearest house and climb in bed. It doesn't
Yep.
matter whose house it is.
Alright,
Doesn't
here
even
we
have to
go.
be your house. You just have to go to sleep before 2
Maybe
a.m.
that's why I got here early, so it's my house.
And I still managed to get to my own house. Huddle, leave her alone.
I'm in nobody's bed. I don't know whose bed this is.
Hey,
You
foraging,
just wake
We all
up
have
and
those
ask,
moments, don't we?
foraging. I got 3 levels in foraging.
now I'm gonna go to the store.
Alright, I'm going to go and, hey, I can make a sign. I'm going to make a couple signs and start naming houses.
Yeah, my
Hello.
house is.
This
right
house
next
is
to the-
Jay's. Now you know whose house is whose. Alright, I gotta go find somebody in their house. I'm smoking.
Well, my house is
Lemon?
the one under the main.
This must be
farm.
Lemon's house.
Oh, I already have one. Oh, do you want to save one?
Okay.
Or I can use mine for something else.
I'm
Don't
just
matter.
gonna go to my house.
Yeah.
I already labeled mine.
Take it. Okay. Go ahead. See.
I just didn't want you to waste yours.
No, that's fine. So what is the new thing in the mushroom bed area?
Dehydrator.
Dehydrator? So that comes default now?
Yeah. With the mushrooms at
Cool.
least, yeah.
That's cool. Oh no, I put all of them in there. I didn't want to put all of them in there. Oh, well.
It may take 5.
It did. It took all 5. I was not planning on that.
Well, it might be like the,
Okay, there's
filters
Michigan.
or
Michigan, show me
whatever.
where your house is. Which house did you spawn in? This one?
That one right
Pass
here.
it?
Where's the cave at? Or the mine, or whatever.
Oh, the mine? The mine's not open yet.
Yeah, it'll open up in like day 5.
Man.
Yeah, this way. I think.
The fun thing is, I don't think we'll ever make it to year 3 in this one.
What?
Year 3.
We never get to Grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I played with you, we never make it to Grandpa. He's starting new save.
Can I craft egg things yet? No. Just gonna throw them in there for now.
Just dropping off that wood at the that box you built.
Do we just want free range chickens for now? I say we just have free range
Fuck
chickens
it.
for now.
That works.
Free range chickens! Go be free! Go find grass that doesn't exist because we murdered it all. Wait, we can always change our minds later. Both orientations have been completed. Jobs it's so good so far. I'm glad. I'm glad it was
Yeah,
good.
how dare you?
Jay, you got
Six.
caught.
Yeah,
6.
We're gonna
Sorry,
fight
that-
Joining the game 6.
That was my fault.
Free range chickens have joined our party.
Around my butt.
Huh?
They're all up in my butt.
Where do you go for like farming supplies? So you go into the actual.
Oh yeah, follow me.
Or-
If any,
or-
okay, you guys need to come to town and expand bags and buy farming supplies. So meet me at the big farmhouse.
Okay.
Meet me at my
I'm down by
house.
Barney's. Do we need more hay?
Oh,
No, we have 43 pieces because I think we all spawned in with hay.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I put in my hair with it, yeah.
I am going to my house currently to put down a couple of things.
And then meet me at the big farmhouse. Those guys that want to go to town and do stuff.
Right, you got 82 wood in that box now.
Hell yeah.
Drink water. Have a good rest of the stream. I'm headed to bed. I've been up since 5 a.m. Drink water. Okay,
Okay,
will do. 5 a.m. That's super early.
I mean, I get up at 5:30 every day.
I
Yeah.
do in theory.
I'm alive every
Yeah, but this is
5
5 a.m. across the pond, not here.
Oh.
Across the pond?
Thank you so much for the miss. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, you guys, who was coming in town with me? Is Jay ready? I'm on a field trip, guys.
I'm in town at the moment.
Oh, you're already there? Oh,
Yeah.
well, follow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Your
That's Prince
parents-
with you. Prince
Thank
has
you.
black hair. Jay is the generic farmer.
I kind of look like Mario, but with yellow pants.
we go.
Yeah.
I'm just a bald guy.
But yeah, go in there and buy your expanded bag if you have not visited the counter.
I have it already.
Okay. So you have that. And you can buy seeds and supplies from him as well. Whatever you want to buy, fuck him with.
Okay, cool.
Now that's all the bits I have. Thank you so much. I'm like, "Arrgh." I'm like,
Rough.
I heard a noise, and so I was like, I have to look. So yeah, thank you. Get some rest. Good night. And again, if you ever want to play this game again, let me know. Both have to keep saying Lord Snarfall though. Oh. Let's see.
There we go. Bag expanded. Got a pine cone seed from earlier.
Yep.
Oh, do we want
Pretty
fruit
game.
trees already?
Why
I
not?
already bought them.
You did? Okay, great.
I mean, anybody can buy them, so.
I was gonna make a cute little grove of trees.
I gotta
I
get a
always
talk to
do
that.
that too.
Lily,
Oh, come on, Sam.
I don't want your bamboo
You
pole,
be nice to my
but
man.
I'm here.
Oh, is he yours this game?
Yeah.
I don't need any
That
of
means
this stuff.
Bastion's mine this game?
Yeah, you can have Scratch in this game.
Get a fish tank. I want a fish tank.
Seeing as we have to switch around our
Settle
men
in our
in the
other
other one.
games?
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta be friends, so. There you go.
Fuck.
Let's see. Where are we at? 82.
Go. Bristol Wood area.
Forgot what a dick George is.
Okay.
He's old and grumpy. You leave him be. Plus, he's got a fucking grandson that's an asshole too.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Fucking
Good for
Alice.
Penny hates beer, so. I'm pretty sure, what's her name hates beer too?
Well, they're not a friend of mine.
Haley? Doesn't Haley
Yeah.
hate beer?
Probably.
I think she likes cookies.
Haley, the
Oh, she loves cookies! She loves trash cookies.
What? Robin
Haley
doesn't
loves-
love spaghetti?
Yeah, if you hold it longer, you can.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, "Oh, dang, that's cool." And you can
Yeah,
do the
you
same-
can water up to, let's see, 18
Good God, my.
with
Oh,
the
catching
iridium one.
catching
Yeah.
Pokemon on stream, guys.
I also planted a shit ton of. I planted 100 parsnips.
Oh, so we
Yeah.
definitely get a gold one. Did you use fertilizer?
No.
I don't think it'll matter at that amount, but hopefully.
There's fertilizer.
Hold on. It's okay. I can't even craft fertilizer.
I
Oh,
am
you
a silly,
can't?
silly man.
No.
Oh, I can't yet either.
I'm
And
still in.
unlocked
I don't have
edification.
money mode because I bought like a little bit of everything like I always do because I forget that
Right?
I
I
go
gotta do
nuts.
enough farming to unlock the
Oh,
ability to.
careful. Come here, Mr. Bat.
Yeah, I didn't hit him.
Come here. Okay.
I'm not using the sword near the crops to make the baddies explode.
Actually, I should probably take.
I
The
can't
ring
wait
off.
to go in the mine with this ring, though. Just
I
saying.
know.
It
Oh
would be
yeah.
so much fun. That'll be so much fun. I think we've just about cleared off the entire farm. We're gonna have to buy
Where-
grass for the chickens.
Well,
Where do
leave
we
it up
wanna
to the
put the-
humans.
Cute little grove of trees.
Oh, what about
We're
like
out
by
of
the
your heart.
pathway?
Fires.
Which one?
I don't know. That I just always do it that way so that I don't forget to look at them.
Oh.
Because otherwise I'll forget that they have fruit.
Dang, somebody's already been farming all the way down here.
It wasn't me.
I think I know where I want them.
Clearing out all the stuff. Oh, that's funny. There's no slimes in the forest, but they are on our farm. I think that should be changed. I think when you put slimes on your farm at night, there should be slimes in the forest too. Why is the forest a safe zone? I think this is the fastest we've cleared out trees like ever. Lumberjack City. Again, Jay, if you have any questions, just do as you please and chop and fish, and once the mine's open, those are lots of fun.
Right.
There you go.
175 wood.
Dang. Getting close.
I planted the trees around my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when we finally get our green rain, and I can get all my moss.
Yep.
But yeah, I wouldn't sell anything, guys. Forward everything.
Oh!
See that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your wood!
I saw you
Yeah.
run right toward that tree. Just kidding.
I saw something weird on it, and I was like, oh, what's growing on this one?
Oh,
And it was
look
nothing,
at
it was
this.
your hair.
Oh, I forgot we can do the stumps too, so
Lemon,
I
unbelievable.
keep forgetting.
This is a very serious game.
We're fighting over trees over here.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
time to go
sir.
to sleep.
Everybody get to
Many
bed.
things to think about.
Breakfast at my house.
I'm
what
gonna
you
crap
make
in the
without a
first
kitchen?
house.
It's classified. It worms.
Ugh.
Worms.
Forgot about those. Alright, let's go. Where's the way out? I gotta find a bed. Quickly!
Someone.
Hi, Shay!
Can't-
Hope you're having fun.
Oh,
Not
mine's
feeling
right
great
by
after work, so just lurking.
the entrance to the from the forest.
you, but it's fun.
Yeah. Hurry. Run. Run to the
I
beds.
literally just kept swinging until it prompted me to sleep.
I'm having a slumber party at Lemon's house tonight, guys.
Oh, hey! And in the morning, I make waffles.
Level 3
Well,
foraging. I can make a cookout kit.
It's a little better. I actually fry my.
Somebody's
worms
gotta hit
and
okay.
Sorry. I was reading messages from Dalton. He messaged me.
Slacker.
Kitty!
What do we name the cat, guys?
Oh, did you? I'm
Mm.
sorry. I had no idea. Oh, look, I have a thing I can take to Gunther.
Cat's name.
Trying to think of something anime related, but I'm blanking.
What's Fruits Basket's cat's name?
Q!
Yo!
How do you spell it?
KYO.
K-Y-O. Q. There we go. It's orange, it's appropriate. It's an orange kitty.
Yeah, don't touch. Okay, so
My baby.
I will say don't touch the trees around my house. They are fruit trees.
Oh, do you want to put signs?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't remember what trees are which.
Oh. Do not touch.
Signs.
Oh wow, we remember.
Who's been in my house? Oh, this isn't my house. Never mind.
This is my house name.
Hey, who's been in my house? This is stop.
I don't even know why you were in. Oh my
Because
goodness.
it was the first bed I could get to go to sleep.
Oh, that was my house.
I know. Like, what? I was like, something's not right here. I don't know what it is, but something's not right.
My bed wasn't here yesterday.
We chopped down all the grass before we made a silo.
Yep.
Great. We're gonna have to plant grass eventually.
I just buy hay from Marnie.
True. Just stock the silo by buying hay.
I think it
One's
actually
Oh.
increases your friendship with Marnie.
Good idea.
Anyway,
Jojo.
Wasn't the community center open on the 5th? Or is it the 6th?
I don't know. I always look, I think, on the 5th, but I don't think it's the 5th.
I think I might have enough signage.
Oh, yep, it's today.
Oh!
You
Oh,
bitch.
damn!
You called it.
I'm a female dog again.
That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Where's us? We don't care for us.
So everybody needs to head to the community center. So follow the people around you and go read the tablet in the community center.
Alright. I think I have enough signage for my thing.
You labeled all your trees.
Yeah, sure.
I'm far
I wanna
away.
call them labels.
Does it just say, like, do not fucking touch?
Maybe. But different.
right.
You'll see when you go wander.
Hello?
coming.
Water
Right
here.
And,
Maybe.
general store.
Michigan, why do you have your pole out?
What? I don't have my pull out.
Here, hold on. I gotta show you on my
I don't have my pull out. Jeez. I don't walk around with my pull out.
You definitely have your pole out.
Well, I was fishing, that's probably why. Okay, I do have my pole out there. But the issue is, I don't see my pole. So, is it more you trying to see my pole? Let's get started out.
What are you talking about it over here?
Fishing!
Now.
Jesus.
I'm not so sure
I
about
have a
that.
fishing pole out. It's weird.
Oh,
I can fish
jeez.
wherever the hell I want. I want to fish on
Hey
the ground.
guys, mine is open.
I
What?
thought you were saying our mine. So, yeah,
Oh, I need to get rid of a bunch of
Well,
my
not
shit
that.
first. Where'd Harvey go?
I have color changing cups now.
I'm at the town hall. What have I got to read?
Oh, did you go to the town hall? Have you bought your expanded? You did buy your expanded guide.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
go
too.
north of town.
No, I think
So-
he's at.
The community center.
Yeah, he's.
You gotta go inside to the far left, and there's a tablet on the floor that you gotta read, and it's gonna be in like a cryptic language.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
So if
can read
anybody
this.
else-
It says pizza at noon. I got it.
So if anybody else is headed that way, guide him in the
I
right
read it
direction.
and I don't understand the assignment.
Yep, that's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's fair. You'll get a letter in the mail in the morning explaining.
It says pizza at noon.
Yeah, I read it. Whatever it was.
Sweet. The jibber jabber.
Mm,
It was something.
drop this wood.
And
Where's
this
the
way,
line
little
located?
sign.
It's like all the way to the right, I think. For some reason.
Oh, good, great.
Oh, is this you? Who'd I just pass?
Jay. Hello.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna let you follow me
Hello.
there, but...
This is so much fun. I
Make
love
sure
this
you guys
game.
go read my signs on my trees later.
I'm working on it. That's what I'm
We will.
doing. I'm gonna go to the mines tomorrow. I gotta put all my shit down.
There you go, 100 wood. You
Oh,
need
hey, free range
300.
chickens.
One of our neighbors that lives on the bottom floor in the studio that we have to pass to get up to our unit. He got a Boston Terrier that she's fostering, and her name's Poppy.
Aww.
And she's so freaking cute.
This is amazing.
What do you do with fish if you don't have to necessarily sell them?
I'm
You can
bored of
buy
them
a
now to add
fish
them to the
tank.
community center.
Save them for the community center, and also you can buy a fish tank for your house and put them in your house and a fish tank for fish.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy a fish tank from Willie in his shop at the beach. And put
Oh,
your
the
fish in
eggs
there.
are ready to harvest an egg.
Sweet.
I thought you said you cook some
I'll
eggs. I was
take
like, well, I'm
one.
all be
Somebody
over.
else can take the other
Yeah,
one.
I've done eggs
I'll come for
already,
the other
so
ones,
somebody
I'm
else
already
can.
here. Yay.
Easy fish catch. I'm just gonna fish. I just really
Alright,
don't know
I
what else
need
to do.
to make my area meet my aesthetic.
Okay, level 10 of the mine unlocked. You can get your boots.
These aren't made for rock. What? Emily, I want to give you a beer every single day, but you won't accept it.
No.
He's very responsible.
Until you get married.
Oh, okay. When we're married, she gets married on this. Damn, the bar's popping right now. Oh, because
There you
it's
go.
only Friday at 6:30.
Whoever that was, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hook catch.
That was right there.
If you're on stream and you're catching Pokemon, hook catch.
Back.
Ooh, I got crystals. I can start crafting doohickeys. And topaz.
Ugh, it's gonna be sunny tomorrow. Assholes.
Bidoo has been caught by KimonoKat. Oh.
You wanna know what's really frustrating? My mythology teacher decided, oh, he's gonna do his normal wrap-up thing for the unit.
Uh-huh.
Mentions in the email that, oh hey, there's an extra credit opportunity tonight for an event that they're hosting at the art museum for the school.
Really? It tells you like at the very last minute?
I'm like, the fuck?
You're like,
Like,
what?
told me a week ago I would have gone.
Dash! Purple ears, I got you, Dash.
It's fine, it's only 10 points anyway. Not worth the extra credit. Not to drive an hour at least.
Let's see.
One way.
Yeah. That's a long way.
and then pay $12 in parking. Yeah, no thanks.
So you're paying for extra credit on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You
cheers.
get that.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers! It's gonna be break time when I run out of wine.
Oh, you gonna break dance or break? I don't know.
No, I'll have to go get more wine.
Well, you should break dance.
Getting all the stuff to craft all the things for the animals.
Thing is, I wish I knew how to craft or do a lot of things because one thing I do is
I can
fish.
teach you. Well,
so
you have to,
bar-
like, different events unlock different things. Like, playing around in the mine unlocks the ability to craft different things. Fishing unlocks the ability to craft different things.
Yeah, that's
It
what
just
I'm
takes
gonna do. I'm
time.
just gonna get, yeah, my fishing.
You'll be able to make, like, the worm bait thing in the recycler before me. If you do a lot of fishing, you'll be able to do that.
This is like life. Go fish, go to the bar.
A
go
lot
to
of times we'll pick different expertise. Like, I love mining and animal handling.
Okay, Emily. Does Emily know I have a fireplace?
Midnight.
Oh, yeah. It's midnight. I do want to sleep. Okay. I made it. I didn't make it
Claws in your leg.
to the thing.
You know it.
I wanted to make it a little further.
Definitely do.
I'm not going to. Okay, leave mine, because it's midnight,
Can you
and
grab
I
one
have
of
to
my
run.
sodas, please?
Turtle! Welcome. And yeah, just dash. As soon as I crash, I will, put on the purple ears. Thank you so much for redeeming purple ears. There's a possum again! I swear, Rain, I see that thing all the time.
One more person.
There's a small one, and then there's a big one.
By the way, how long does it take for the mixed seeds to grow?
Like a few days. Each seed is a different day. So mixed seeds is gonna vary because they're like random seeds. Oh no, hey, it's me confirmed. I do not hate you, Turtle. Look at this Jeep. Purple ears. Alright, I'm not gonna push OK yet, guys, on my screen, so we can take a quick break and refill drinks and stretch and
I'm gonna
all
show
that
you
good
guys
stuff.
this though. Look at that pretty purple it changed. So like,
What is
Everybody's
that?
getting all purple.
But yeah,
okay, so like
cheers.
that it changes color. This is what it was.
She has
I
color
That is
also
changing
don't love
magic.
color.
that it's like completely full. I dumped the whole fucking can in it.
That's awesome.
All that mining, I only got mining level 1, and I made it to almost level 20. Like, what?
I have a lot of fish. I don't know what to do with.
Alton brought him home.
Put them in your chest in your house for now,
Well,
and
they
then
don't
go
expire.
No.
go
I
see
was
Willie
expecting they would
and buy a
expire.
fish tank or a couple fish tanks and put them in your house and have a grand display of fishies.
Can I cook them? No, eventually.
And you can see
Eventually
where I
you can
grabbed
cook
it.
Yes, eventually you can cook them and make food out of them.
Kind of
I'm
funny.
gonna become a cook and a fisher.
Or you
You
can
can
eat
also
them
put
as
them in the community center.
you can also eat them sushi style.
Nice.
And that's my goal in life: is to eat fish and go to the bar.
Oh, I thought my goal in life is to eat fish sushi style. That's all I ever
Well,
want.
that's a
is
different one.
sushi.
Yeah. Then
Oh, it's just a
you guys can catch me at the
Wednesday.
bar telling my fishing stories. You know, when my ship and.
Oh, you and Willie gonna be BFF?
Mm-hmm.
You good girl.
I'm gonna show all of our
Mm.
boating. That'd be cool to have boats in there because I'll be fishing out there.
I'm back. Is everybody still here?
No.
Yep,
No. Yeah.
No, we
peace,
all ran
bro.
away.
It looks like we're still here, so I'm gonna hit OK.
Just making a roll up at the moment.
Say, oh, combat level. Also, it's a very pretty bottle.
But yeah, I pretty much got
You're not gonna be
the,
classy and drink it out of the bottle?
I got the house to myself
No.
today, so
That's something my grandma would probably do.
You need like one of those little things, the cup that goes into the top.
Mm-hmm.
You get that for you for your birthday.
Hell yeah.
It's okay.
You're rating on Simona. Also,
Oh,
Simona,
yeah.
Big U.
No, it's Mona, I believe. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Big U.
Mono, big you. What was?
You know you like it.
Oh,
Just kidding.
this is a PG channel.
Oh, hey, good morning. Process some rocks, okay.
Crows.
Oh.
Talk to the wizard. Everybody has to
No,
go to the
actually.
wizard today. If you went to the community center and looked at the palette.
The wizard. Do I get a heart?
Yeah. You get to go get high with the wizard.
What?
Did you go
Where's
see
wizard?
the you gonna follow me?
Where's this
Did you already-
version of Wicked?
Did you already read the tablet?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Okay, then follow me. First I gotta love on these chickens real quick. By offering them beer.
That's what I would do.
You would.
Oh, they have no hay. They need fed.
Let me
Okay,
zoom
I'll
out.
feed them.
Oh, here, I'll go to Marnie's. I'm right down here.
No, I have hay. I just
Oh.
I meant like on their thingamajig. Yeah, you can buy more. We have 37 pieces though.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
It'll last a while.
I'm realizing that these may not grow here.
Oh, with the sign so close.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
zoom.
What am I thinking? Let's grab people. Anybody else coming with to the wizards? Wizard of Oz.
Are you running?
The Lizard of Oz.
You in there?
Like I said, I want a heart.
Wake up.
Just
Sorry,
so
I'm
you guys
drinking
know,
coffee.
Can I pull somebody else?
Clicking my step.
there is a Wizard of Oz museum,
There's so many purple hairs. I don't know.
and it is here in Kansas.
Did you find me, Michigan? This way.
I don't know. There's so many purple.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
I'm a teacher.
Ah, well.
And she has red hair. So yeah, come this way. We're gonna go see the wizard. Not a thing.
I need to talk to this wizard.
There goes Speedy with her thing. Oh, I forgot to, at the bar, you guys didn't buy coffee to run fast or run quick.
Oh, yeah. Well. Drugs.
Yeah. You have to drink love.
Well. Anyway,
Come talk to the wizard.
It's locked.
Yeah.
It's locked.
if it's- If it's locked, you didn't go do the tablet yet.
I did. I heard.
Oh, well,
I saw
try again. Maybe it's because I was in there.
No,
no, look,
What?
I did.
Why
go
would it be
'cause
locked
I
for
saw
them if-
all that language I couldn't.
Oh,
see.
did you check your mailbox?
Probably not.
No.
If you didn't read your mail, then yeah, you can't go see the wizard. You gotta go read your mail where he gives you the invitation.
I never gave my address, so whatever.
I mean, it's
You
a
have to
small
introduce
town.
Yourself.
Everybody knows everything about everybody. So, I mean,
Unreal.
everybody knows
My
everything. So
house.
go check your mailbox. And if you don't have any mail, that means you didn't read the tablet in the community center.
Oh, I got mail. I'm gonna toss it away and throw it away.
Does it have like the wizard's spooky weird mail?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, then you're good.
Yeah, I'm coming back as fast as I can. But I'm not as fast as you guys because I don't have coffee anymore.
That's okay. If you get buddy enough with Caroline, you can get tea.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Oh, The bundles are different.
Oh. Might have remixed them, huh?
Maybe.
Still my butt.
Oh, look,
Damn
there's
it!
our man.
I've been memorizing them for so long.
I know. That's why I did
I went
it.
too far.
That's
I literally started
you did
flipping shit.
everything.
Where's the wizard? I'm an idiot.
Yep.
I think I went too
Oh,
far.
Follow me,
south in the
follow me.
forest.
I'll follow him. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was this way. It's this way.
Yep, come here.
Oh, so I was going the right way.
It does this way, yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. I would have found my way eventually. Never. Where's the wizard cowboy? That's it.
Where'd he go? Anyone seen Sam?
No. Is he hanging
need
out
it.
at Sebastian's?
If anybody has a dandelion, the community center still needs a dandelion.
He was just outside his house with Sebastian, though. Oh, these fuckers are... Fuck it, they're in Sam's room.
Oh, lame.
Oh, can
Nah,
the
I'm gonna
wizard?
fuck 'em.
Can the wizard give me hair?
Eventually,
Awesome.
yes, he can.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry
I was
about that.
joking.
I was confuzzled for a little bit.
Need a dandelion.
Come on, wizard. You suck. You should be over already.
We unlocked the fishing tank in the community
That's
center.
so
You can
cool.
do much fishing.
Oh, awesome.
We also
What's
unlocked
the
the
difference in colors?
pantry for large eggs and all that good stuff. Parsnips, fruit. Summer.
Found a Joja Cola in the pond.
Yeah.
I'll
that's
take
fine.
Nice.
On soda.
I got this.
Make sure you give it to Sam to be friends with him.
Look at you.
But don't romance him, he's mine.
Nah. She calls dibs on Sam.
No, that's
Whoa.
the other game. Sebastian's
Who's
always
this
my
Sam
go-to.
person? What does he look like? Why is
Yeah.
everybody trying to? That's good.
Blonde.
Blonde, unbelievable. You know, blonde came after
50.
black. Oh no, black came first. Okay. My facts are off.
Here we go.
Evolution. Let's see. So, does the week start on a Sunday?
Yes. Well, kind of.
I think it starts on Monday, the first
I
day.
haven't seen Emily in a couple of days, and I'm starting to get worried.
It starts on Mondays.
Mondays,
Oh, I thought that the gift giving started over on Sundays.
Sundays, when technically.
Not me just standing outside Sam's room waiting for Sebastian to leave.
Holding a Joja Cola.
No, I feel like this is like a stalker like simulator where we just sit there.
More like 40 Joja Colas.
It's like, hey, you at work?
I hear you like soda.
Yeah.
Shh. Cleo. Oh my god, stop.
So he can't control it.
Dog ASMR.
What? You're gonna make me die, dog.
The cats are being bad, Bob.
I forgot that I can't pause it.
What is the cartoon? Oh, What? My name is going blank. The one where the
Stop.
girl's always telling on her brothers. Oh, Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
Candace.
Candace. Your dog's name should be Candace. Telling on Phineas and Ferb all the time. It's gone to bed. He needs more energy. Or pizza. Could visit the bar. Get some coffee, some pizza, some beer.
I love that Sam just told me that his mom hates daffodils.
I had some
that
yeah,
she might be
queso
allergic to
tacos.
'em.
Oh my gosh, those are so good, Snappy. Those are so good. And jelly. I don't know how to quite say it, but I'm jelly. Those are good. People have been in the mines. Hi,
Oh,
miner.
Brooke,
How you doing?
Good. Do you need help today?
Oh, did I find an ancient seed?
Nice.
Hell
Huh?
yeah. I found an ancient seed.
no.
Nice. Die already, fly. I want any of your shenanigans. Those tacos sound awesome though. Lucky Snappy. I want them. Those, did they come with the sauce to dip them in or whatever you call it? The good stuff. Where is the exit?
I don't fucking know.
You're hiding
So
it
Brooke
from us.
seems to like the fact
Oh,
that
right
there's
here.
a
Ah!
food bowl on my desk.
Oh, an infestation. The only time I'm gonna say yes. This is more stuff to blow stuff up with.
I guess you guys can watch her.
Oops.
Your daddy's
That's
things
fine.
to blow up.
Oh, I should put my ring back on.
Yes! Put your ring on. It's so much fun.
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it.
I think Sora would appreciate it. Sorry.
But he already put a ring on it.
I don't like sit back.
I legit left my rings at home yesterday. I was putting on face lotion and then forgot to put them back on. I felt terrible.
Oh no.
Oh my god. I wonder why he's feeling bad. Not this good.
Right?
You don't need a ring to signify that you guys are married.
So I was
People
joking. It's like
know.
that's why yesterday was such an awful day.
Aww. She left your ring at home.
I really don't want to cry tonight, guys. So.
Oh shit! It's getting late.
Oh dear God, Brooke.
Daddies.
I went to bed at 9 o'clock because I'm gonna be responsible
night?
adult.
Oh crap! The mine carts.
Tacos. Yeah, we don't have Minecraft yet. Gotta walk fast. Take the
Yeah, I
top
drank
road.
some coffee.
Take the top road. You get time without coffee, honestly.
I don't believe in coffee. I'm gonna do vanilla, except for the whole money thing.
They got a lot done today. Something in my bed.
Yeah, you shouldn't be going to your bed and like, oh, what the hell is that?
I think,
You know, you can hit the arrow button.
yeah, but that's not exactly what I wanted to do.
So it moves everything that you already had in there.
Yeah. Let's see. I needed to keep it
Oh,
cute.
Monty.
I was just about to say, my sister has literally just got a new dog and looks just like him or whatever. Yeah, him, yeah.
God. Look at his smile.
I would always feed that dog. That dog would be like 100,000 pounds.
He's like, I love you, Rain. Please feed me.
No, my
What
sister
a
literally just got a
love.
dog just like that. Actually, it looks literally the same.
You could probably have some, but I don't want to give it to you.
Well, I don't want to go back to bed too. I just got them.
Eat this.
We have no crows, I guess.
There's a baby.
We need a dandelion in the
There's the
community
baby.
center. If anybody has a dandelion, they can unlock the magic. So don't sell your dandelions. I miss being able to chop down trees in town. Did anybody else miss that?
Got a fishing
bit.
buddy. Who is this one? Hello.
Oh. You silly goobers.
Wait.
Lewis's birthday. Lewis.
That's cool.
That's cool.
We did the bridge!
Hey, I was just letting you guys know. He said it on Facebook.
The bridge is
Lewis
unlocked, Jay.
would tell everybody it's his birthday on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's my birthday. Tell me happy birthday.
You
Right?
better do it.
Fuck Lewis.
Oh, so if you see squiggly things in the ground, dig them up.
There's worms, yeah, right there.
There's also green worms now.
I don't know
Yes.
what that means.
It's a new thing.
I've actually been watching YouTube.
I'm in a
about this.
cutscene with Sam, and I just see Mono just running up and down the beach.
Trying to get a tan. Yep.
I'm doing things and stuff and running around.
I did download this game on my Xbox because I didn't think it would run that well here, but it runs perfectly. So I want to do it single player
Oh.
with just default everything.
Don't eat.
Who else is fishing at the moment?
Not me.
Oh wow.
I'm the bald guy. You can't miss me.
Got a stick. Lovely.
My friend's enough to go into. I'm not good
Yeah.
enough friends.
You're not friends enough to go into Emily's house yet?
Oh, I went into her house, but I wasn't able to go to her
Not her
bedroom. It's just-
bedroom.
it sounds weird. But yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be going into girl's bedroom now.
I don't know, it feels weird just walking in.
Uninvited.
to her mama.
Game be weird.
I gave her 2 beers, and I'm like, okay, I'm going in here. It feels weird. Like I said, this is Stalker Simulator, I think. Hey, Emily. I know.
I've yet to cash out one of these prize tickets to actually see what it does yet.
Mono, are the glass shards an artifact?
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up one and donated it to Gunther just a second ago.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm putting the artifacts with the artifacts and the minerals with the minerals.
Oh, I don't know about all that. Ooh, I don't know. I'm not that. I'm gonna put stuff in the wrong place. I'll tell you now.
I've got 7 copies.
Hello? Oh
Huh?
no! I got kicked off.
No.
How dare them? Who do I have to fight? I'm sorry.
Sacrilege.
Come on.
Hey, you're playing Stardew, aren't you, Rose?
I'm trying.
11? 11? I'm just waiting at the bar
Yes,
for
I know.
it.
The birds are flying.
Even though it's Sunday. I don't know if that works. So the guy that owns the bar, is he's Emily's dad? Or is he just...
No, he's just the guy that lives in town.
Because that would have been awesome, because that would be a good relationship with him. That's good.
Do you literally just sit there?
What?
Literally just sit at the
No,
bar
I just got
from
in.
opening?
I just got in. I was done fishing, like I do.
Uh-huh.
And I go to the bar, and I go to
Mhm.
sleep. And
Oh.
sometimes I go to Emily's house like a weirdo, but it's normal. It's good. This is normal. This is normal.
All the like flag on Rose.
Wish I could just go over people's name, or probably could.
Oh, I think we need to refill our money.
I
It is
could do
going
it.
down. I didn't know. I thought it was.
Let's see.
Fine.
Rose, is that you that this was in here at the bar, or who was that?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, millionaire. I think that's good.
Oh, hey! You Ethan!
No, Emily is.
We are Emily. We are millionaires now.
Hey, Emily, you want me to take you to the gun show?
Oh, God.
That was awesome. Sorry.
Now I'm scared every time I do gun show on stream. What does it mean?
Well, she accepted my gift, so. No, this
I
is
think
funny.
we still need a dandelion for the community center. If anybody has one of those little flowers with the 3 little flowery things on them.
I'm looking for him. I haven't
I'm gonna
found
go
one.
fishing.
Nothing here at the moment. Doing fishing.
I mean, anyone's welcome to check my chest in my house. I have no clue.
I don't know. I don't think I have anything really.
I'm
I
gonna
have
go look
wood.
through Rain's Chester drawers.
Ooh, whoa. That's okay. That's a little different.
Boundary post!
Oh shoot! I caught trash.
She does not own a dandelion. Dang it.
Why can't I collect
You can go to
anything?
the house all you want. No,
I have no idea.
I organized her
Really
chest,
hanging
but I
out
did not
on
have
my
it.
screen.
Nuts.
I am gonna steal your community center items though. And your
I blame
gunpowder
you.
items.
What is with this lag?
You having some good internet issues?
I guess.
What the heck did you buy? A Junimo hutch?
No,
Oh my
it's the
gosh.
doghouse.
We have a dog?
No, not yet.
What's the dog doing?
You can buy pets. Your own pet. Mm.
6:50 p.m. already. Jeez.
don't have my other thing.
Just looking for a flower.
Oh, that's a quick way to get us the.
Oh, I found one! Yes.
Nice.
I'm just fishing for no reason.
Found what I was looking for.
Hey, Emily, I got some fish.
Black while I try to go to the next level of the mine.
Green. Useless.
I just realized I was fishing outside of Emily's house. I'm with it.
Yeah.
was just
I
showing her
mean,
the
that's your
fish.
second home, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
I was just fishing, telling her I could fish,
Skilled at fishing. We'll never go hungry.
Right? You can teach. I might have to complain about
Especially with that fishing pole you got, though. I mean, you can load up
It's
bait on
bad.
that. So
Yeah.
you need to go to the cave and catch you kill you some creatures with your awesome sword, and then you'll have bait for your fishing pole.
True. I'll have to do that. I keep forgetting because I just watched a tutorial like a couple weeks ago, and I'm not used to unlimited either.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually want to play
Nice
a
too.
full vanilla.
Alright, level 30 is unlocked.
Yay! Gonna have to go fishing soon, I getting some things, but first I'm gonna check out my mouse hat place and see if there's any hats I want. Oh, she doesn't have any options yet. Lucky bow. Alright, I'll take the lucky bow. Oh, my inventory's full.
Yeah, I'm kind of
That's
loving
crap.
this unlimited. Oh my god.
Lucky bow. Put the bow in my head. Did I kill? Slayed 10 slimes yet? That's
I like a lot of us how we go to bed early and then we just wait for people.
right.
Unbelievable.
Because we're
Nobody
slackers.
reading a book.
What book you reading?
ESPN.
Oh.
I think our internet's not doing the best.
Welcome back, Lemon.
I apparently not.
Yeah, your internet's not. It's pooping.
Oh, look at that. I got a,
Can you guys?
diamond.
Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, you're starting to clear up. Right? Your video's doing better.
Okay.
It could. It's 9.
And to level 40.
Yeah, I had to leave the mine because I couldn't go from one level to the next.
Oh no.
Yeah, I took a Snapchat video of how long it took the screen to go from.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're starting to. What's it called? Go
Robot.
back. You're the nicest robot, though.
Actual facts, though.
Oh, I got that. Hey, level 1 combat. Level 2
Fish.
mining.
Yeah, I
Fish
see. It's
leveled
just
up.
like a black screen, basically.
Yeah, just give it a second. It may even say not responding, and it'll take a second, but it'll eventually work.
Thanks, Clint. Hi, Clint. Bye, Clint.
Bye, have a wonderful time.
Not this week.
See, Michigan, this is what a fish tank looks like.
I thought that was like a wig. I was like,
See? Michigan
"Geez,
fish
that's a
tank.
huge. That's huge.
Right?
Can someone come pick up these parsnips?
Oh! Put it in there. Sweet. I was gonna move it.
Actually,
first.
never mind.
No, you got 2 fish. No, sorry. I'm out. Peace.
Oh.
Huh?
How do I move it? How do I rotate it? There.
Where do you want these seeds?
This way.
I walk outside and I do all the work for Lady. Unbelievable. This year.
No, I'm down here. Bottom left. I have the trees surrounding my house.
Maxis! Thank you so much! Thank you for the done.
Why
Thank
can't I
you,
pick
thank
up
you,
these-
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you! Welcome to the stream, Crisis!
Oh, because I'm lagging again.
Over here.
You know you wanna play. You know you wanna play, man. You're dying to play Stardew, right?
Oops. I had to go sit down first. That's what people do.
I don't think I put on go to. Should those on.
Hey, out of the 100 seeds of parsnips, we only got 2 gold stars.
Yeah, and I think I had them both.
Mono, Big U.
Yep. Terrible.
Oh, who's this lady? Sorry.
Alright, again, I'm gonna say. Very good. Oh. Oh, that works.
One thing we need is like community cheers, but in the game.
I'm gonna put those right next to the fireplace, because that makes sense. And take that off the wall. Bite? No! You're not allowed to bite me! Bite somebody else!
Someone got a lost book.
Yeah. You know all the lost books.
Does Emily like coffee? Because it really makes me fast.
Find out. Welcome to the stream. Welcome,
I'm
welcome,
gonna go up to
welcome.
Emily.
Thanks for the
Hey,
hype,
be
Six.
fast. Be fast. Sorry.
Okay, I did some house rearranging because I wanted to. Check out the affordable backpack. It's like, hey, sir, you already have the affordable backpack.
And then
You
some.
want it?
Also, what affordable backpack is $10,000?
Literally,
Well,
bro.
it's college loan type thing. It's it, you know.
Mm,
But for $5,000, you can get more interest.
it's ridiculous price for a backpack.
Yeah, that checks out. Just like textbooks are, you know, $50,000.
Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. When I went to school, I had to pay a lot for my backpack, about a couple dollars. It's crazy. Yeah, I guess. More like I don't know, cause my mom paid for it.
Yeah, I took out a student loan on my backpack.
Student loan for your backpack. Stardew life 101. First, you take out student loan for your backpack.
You know, screw a house, get a backpack.
my gosh,
You
you
don't need
guys.
a house, you need a backpack. So that's why there's probably not a lot of kids here, because the backpacks, are very expensive.
This is
Only
true.
a couple of kids.
All right. Yeah, only 2
Like,
kids.
we have
Now
no
what are you
kids.
biting? You bite Crisis Goat.
And Penny's not even a certified teacher.
Nope.
Pretty
Hey, I
sure
got
the
me a-
Office of Child and Family Services have a big problem.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have the CPS on us.
I just found a soda in the trash. I feel special.
You shouldn't.
Ouch.
Damn, this is good.
Ugh, Umaru.
Okay, good thing is that if I put something in the wrong spot, guys, in the museum, you guys can move it.
Yeah. As long as we can donate something.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting a lot of fish over
Actually, no, you can go to the left of him and rearrange it.
I've been playing
I found that out the other day.
for
No,
8
no.
years.
I don't know if I think it might be new. I don't know, but I accidentally clicked to the left of him the other day.
Anyone seen Sam?
No.
On my way to work, so I have a wonderful stream. Thank you for the work and good luck at work. I found Emily. Built on Michigan.
Emily?
I gave her a beer.
I want Sam.
Sorry, I was in the bathroom at the bar. Oh, look at that, Emily.
Yeah, I tried giving you a beer.
Oh yeah, I was actually in
indisposed.
the bar bathroom there.
Yep.
We're gonna rope one. I was in there. Thank you, I feel positive. Okay, cool. I'm gonna block it so nobody can talk to him. Well, I forgot to actually get a real beer.
What you really got up for, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Every time I go to hand him a beer, he's gone.
Sam.
At what point have I talked to everyone? I don't know. Let's see. I'll catch. No, I escaped! I did it too! I did it 2-6. I did the same thing. But yeah, guys, if you wear your explosive rings in the mine, it's lots of fun. Just saying.
Alright, I'm gonna roleplay as a bouncer in the bar real quick while I drink.
Do it, do it. Do what makes you happy.
Anybody comes in here starting fights. Just kidding.
Where do we turn in these tickets at?
The mayor's house.
Wow.
Do you have to be
go
home?
to the mayor's house? Unbelievable. Hey everybody, let's go to the mayor's house. 'Cause
Good evening. Split the funds of each turn tonight. Come back in now. After marriage, you may file for divorce here. Oh, wow.
wow, you went straight there.
Oh, there's the ticket thing. Ooh, one ticket. And you can get either carrot seeds a fruit tree. I think I'll get a fruit tree.
It goes in order, so you can't choose.
Oh. Well, I got carrot seeds then.
I'm gonna get you vitamin A.
I've gotten all the seeds to plant. Maybe I should do some gardening sooner or later.
I'm gonna have to go to my what was it called, the house thing where this you have this huge garden in the back of my house. It's just I have to go to the house. What is it called when you have like a house place where you go to the hold on. It's called the house. I know HOH.
House of the Rising Sun.
HOH. I think it's just called. Anyways,
The HOA.
yeah, that same thing.
Homeowners
really.
Association.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say because Kimona has all this stuff growing back there, and I can't keep my crows around, so. I don't want to say HOH. Oh, that's Big Brother.
HOA.
No, Big Brother is why I said HOH.
Come here.
How are you playing so zoomed in? You know?
I don't know. I forget to zoom out. Just like the default, whatever it is.
First person.
Yeah, you can change your zoom level in the game, guys. You just hit E and then go to the controller and scroll down so you see zoom, and you can minus out, and then you can see so much more in the game. Stop hurting me, guys. Meow. I planted some cauliflower. Oh, that's in my house!
That wasn't me.
Oh. No, now I move that instead of the chimney. I don't even know how to move this thing. There. Barely. Why does it only let me move it one step at a time?
I think your mouse is glitching out.
Where's my dresser? Full of stuff. Oh,
It
You
wasn't
picked
me.
it up. It's in your inventory,
I
silly.
did. I did pick
I'm
it
gonna
up.
say it wasn't me.
Wrong house, sorry.
I put some underwear on. It wasn't mine. Damn. I went to Jay's house accidentally and put some.
You went to his house accidentally and did what?
No, it's a joke. Like you go to like a dresser, you think it's yours, and then you put some other people's clothes on. And it's like, damn, these
God
underwear
damn it.
fit.
I just blew up my crops.
Take the
No.
ring off, didn't you?
Yup.
I'm gonna have to make
Sleep.
a.
Sleep.
Well, I've been sleeping. It's just.
Oh, two people passed out.
Yep. Two people passed out. Jay.
That was me.
Jay
Sorry.
got super
There
drunk.
goes
He's in the cornfield. We'll get him.
Pink Rose is having issues.
Oops.
Sorry, I was going after the mixed seeds.
Yeah, their internet might be going a little weird.
Lemon.
Oh no, it's normal
There it
now.
goes.
I don't know, it's weird.
Here we go.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
just
Good
give
as
it
that.
time.
I couldn't move, so I couldn't go to bed.
Hey, I'm up to level 3 farming now.
And I am at.
I'm at
Something.
level 2 fishing, I believe. So not too bad.
Whether or not I that
Oh.
0 farming. I just started 0 fishing, 3 foraging, 1
Yes,
mining.
it is.
I need more fish in my fish tank. The things that I'm unlocking are so unusually different.
What are you doing, Michigan?
I'm warning my neighbors.
Ooh, parsnip.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that was on part of the timer stuff
Thanks for the
now.
help.
Okay, Emily likes her drawer at 9. Ew.
Wrong way. Oh, that's a puddle's. Is that a puddle's head? No, that was a puddle butt. No, you're looking at my foot like it's gonna be something that you can. No, someone killed a tree.
Pick up my kill.
It's okay, they're not growing anyway.
They're too
Oh,
close
but I
to the
got-
house.
Actually, so I got my saplings back. So it's the one that I'm missing. I think it's the pomegranate one. Nope, the apricot one.
Someone building something?
Why am I fishing with this pole and I realize we have money? I don't remember.
Shan, do you have a fan blowing on your mic?
No. I don't think it was me.
No, it's Jay.
Oh.
Hang on, what's up with my mic?
I think it's just you breathing into it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I do have my floor fan on as well. Fairly hot here at the moment.
Yeah, you're not used to all those temperature changes, are you?
Not yet. I'm getting used to it though. Rather like it.
Won't be cold anymore, that's for sure. Open the bulletin board. Maybe? No. Yeah, no, the basement temperature. Boiler. Need parsnips, beans, potatoes, and a carrot. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're growing carrots. We need one of those.
I've got some growing down on mine.
Yeah, definitely need one.
Plus, you can't buy it if they're not actually in the shop.
Sometimes you can get them on Wednesdays from what's her name when she's there. So at least now we have money. We can buy whatever
Well,
she
I keep
has as far
forgetting
as
that too. I'm
produce.
over here like doing the cheap fishing.
Cheap fishing.
Hell yeah.
Was
I
that
have
like
one of those
fishing at Myrtle
somewhere.
Beach or something?
Probably.
No, it's you have to make your own fishing pole.
Oh.
Yeah,
Go
boiler needs
outside.
like 10 bat wings and different stuff.
Can I just steal from them? Because nobody's here. Sorry.
10 bat wings, 99 slimes, a solar essence, a void essence. All the gems.
I'll pay him back.
Some of that stuff I probably got him, I think. I just gotta go back and get it.
Guess I'll fish. With a shooty.
Oh, do you have any fish that might go into one of the bundles?
I'm gonna fish until
I have some
that guy gets here.
oyster, like the crab pot stuff. I have some of that in my house. Like in my trunk of my house.
No.
Right.
Oh, yep, forgot about that.
You've already planted flowers? Those are so pretty. Change your chest to gold.
Right.
Princess house.
Alright, guys. I've got to go and pick up the missus from work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have
do
a
it
good
up.
evening.
And I'm also going to
That's
go and
fine.
try a bit of brisket later on today. So
Heck yeah!
gonna be nice.
Do it up. Live your life, man.
Yeah. I haven't had it over here yet, so got to try it.
Yeah, do it up.
He'll be happy.
Rain, can I steal your
So
clay?
Sure, fucking go for it.
There's some stuff in my chest as well. I don't know if you can use
Okay.
that.
Ready, I'll go check. Good. Good luck.
A lot of monster material.
That's good, because I need 10 wings for the museum. And eventually 100
There's 10
slime.
in there.
So yeah, I'm gonna look for museum things. That guy goes to the museum. That can go to the chickens. That can go to the museum. Sweet. I mean, not the museum, but the community center. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Take that visual. Oh, not those. Okay. Alright. Let's make things I could use. Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Alright, anyway, I'll speak to you lovely ladies and gentlemen later on.
Yeah.
I'll
Sounds
take her.
good. Enjoy your
Go.
brisket.
Oh,
Later,
no, I am
I'm gonna
looking
go to my
forward to it.
house. Do what I can steal to go to the community center. Sounds yummy indeed.
Oh, here we go. Alright, I'll speak to you guys later.
Yeah,
Okay.
later.
Have a good string, guys.
Wait.
Thank you. Grab all the things I need. And we're gonna put this guy right there.
Well, cheers, everybody.
Cheers. I'm out of a
Cheers,
drink.
my boy.
Cheers.
I don't have a drink.
Oh God,
I just emptied it.
Well,
You need another one.
water's out.
Water's technically a drink. You know that, guys?
Water's
Mhm.
gross.
Water
Water
is
is
good for you.
It's gross.
I went to the adult water, but same thing. Not really at all.
Adult
I'm just
water is
joking.
superior.
I mean, people survived off of it in one time period. They couldn't drink the water. It was bad.
I mean, let's be real. Jesus wasn't turning wine into water. Just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Jesus was making that sweet,
We
sweet.
did that one. We did that one. Rare crops. Artisan. Animal. I feel like I have stuff, and then I come up here and I'm like, oh, I think somebody was just in the community center because I had stuff.
I just left.
I was like, I had stuff, and now those holes are filled up. So, yeah, now I don't have that stuff.
Oh my god. This lag.
No. I don't
Is
quite
this like a
have
normal
so much
thing?
stuff.
Lemon, is this like a normal thing? That
No, it's
Mm-mm.
not. I mean, like, I know I got kicked off the other day because Steam was having issues, but
Yeah.
if it's not
I-
normal, maybe there's some work, maybe, or something.
I don't know. The wind's
Yeah,
really
that's-
bad
that's
out
weird.
right now, so maybe that's why.
It could be.
Oh, it's possible, yeah.
Maybe some trees.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be my last day just because this is getting a little.
I don't blame you. Hopefully to be better next time.
Hey, you had a thing to donate, ma'am. You have another shell. The oyster shell thingy.
Huh?
Mona.
Look at.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the crab pot. It goes on the crab pot.
And then
No.
I'm trying to find this guy, this sunfish, or did you already do it?
Oh, he's already donated.
Okay, because he
Oh, I have
wasn't
a
earlier.
cockle and a mussel. Do we need any of those? Cockles and
Mhm.
mussels.
We do need a
don't know
cockle.
that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I already donated a mussel, but a cockle would be nice.
I got a cockle.
140, by
Let's
the
see.
way.
That's one. What? I'm gonna pass out. This was not part of the plan.
I will be back momentarily.
Do it.
I'll just like stay here for the night and let the Junimos take care of me. Mono, you okay? Juicy. I think I'm okay. I'm stuck in Stardew Land and I don't know.
Alright,
Oh,
y'all.
there's the rules for the thingamajig. I also added this command.
I'm signing off, but I will see you guys later.
And it
take
didn't
care,
work.
Lemon. Take care.
Good night.
Good night. Is my bot not working? That's what it looks like.
It done die. Rude.
Oh, it works for the commands and my big face, but it doesn't work for me hand typing. That makes no sense at all. Right here. Nope. Oh, let me give a hug. Okay. Maybe I spelled it wrong. I don't know. Who knows?
No.
Hug. Splints gets the cookies. Not splints. I call them splints. Sticks.
Thank you.
I watered roses too, so she didn't. so
Thank
her
you for the
things didn't die
cookie.
on her.
Cookies in bed.
Yeah, that's what you do, you know. Just make sure you vacuum the crumbs
I'm
out.
gonna put this fish in here. Hey, we have another fish in there. Oh wait. Ew. You can't add any more items of this type. Oh. Why not? That's
I
weird.
think you can only have so many fish in there. Depending on which one you get, depends on how many fish you can put in it.
You can take out the crappy ones I put in there.
I have no idea how much money they took. Yeah, we know. Okay. We're gonna like go in here and deposit some stuff. I need to move the furniture to the other one.
I just hit my X button like I was playing Talia.
Wrong game.
I guess I'll water Jay's stuff too.
Does anybody have any bug meat?
I have a shit ton on my chest.
can
Actually, I
I-
only have 14. So.
I have
can I-
21. Somewhere?
Can I have some to make some bacon?
Yeah, you can have all my bait.
Yay, thank you.
We'll put it in your chest. Ooh. That's cool.
Aww.
I'm calling friends.
Calling
Phone a
friends.
friend.
Should I take that back out? Artis, welcome. Hi, Jackie. Action? Wrong way. And then you can end now. You kissed yourself. Oh my. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. You buying a cow?
No,
Buy
I'm
a
just seeing
cow.
what I'm just seeing what's available. Because I've never gotten to the animal part before.
Yeah. You can buy 2 chickens and 4 cows, because that's what we need if you want.
Okay.
You need 2 chickens and 4 cows. You buy them, then I don't have to.
You can name them.
I gotta
too.
bring all my stuff inside. Wait, no, like this. Hold up.
Creeping on fucking Leo? What the hell, man?
I didn't know whose it was.
You
Did
just
you buy the
creep on
cows?
Single women like that?
Or did you leave?
Hey, I have a dandelion.
I don't need any more. But thank you.
Fine, I'll fucking sell it.
Whoa, whoa, some drama.
Oh, I
from
forgot the
Stardew.
copper bars. Crap. I'm just short on copper. I can't build a silo today.
I
That's
have to
okay.
start becoming a miner.
Yep, go mine. Give me some copper. Put you to work.
Well, once Emily.
Oh, catch. Ooh. See if I get it. See if it'll tell me. Oh, it actually told me I don't have it. That's great.
I'm just waiting for Emily, and then I'll start mining. Oh, there you go. She pops right in. Perfect time.
Hey.
Hey, Emily.
Hey. Come back.
Hey, Emily, you like the beer? Because apparently I only can give you 2 times
A week?
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
the
give
thing.
her-
Birthday.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I'll marry the
Today's
same
what?
people. You don't have to fight over people.
It's the pink-haired kid's birthday.
Oh.
Tomorrow you came here and offered me beer, but I couldn't offer you beer because you ran out so quick.
Yup. I ran.
All that coffee. Sorry, 5:30, but next day I will order some.
I forgot to pay him.
Nice.
Hey, 2 of us caught it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I forgot to like go places and do things. I got sidetracked.
There's a lot of things in this game I do not know. I need directions.
Well, you should mine.
I will.
North.
Yeah, next morning. Next morning?
Next
day.
morning. Oh, I'm going
That's
now.
completed that. Isn't it?
Because I need more gemstones.
I don't know what I'm mining for.
Are you yelling at me? I don't know. Because we
miss.
missed you. And you didn't like it. Does she? Oh, yeah, she does. Not any better, but. Oh, he hates it. He hates me now. Good job. Already at level 50? Holy cow.
Yep, you're welcome.
I need to go to, I think level 40.
That's the right way to doing it, but it's still
Collect stuff. Check. And then I don't think I checked in a level 30 either. Oh, there's nothing at level 30. Okay, that's bad. Fight. You trying to fight, artist? Oh, I'm not wearing my ring. I was like, why is nothing happening?
You're not wearing it.
Yeah, I took it off. Put on the extra glow ring instead. It's no fun that way. I need my ring.
Sorry.
I gotta open back up at the entrance or something crazy.
Probably.
1,000 cookies. Well, thanks, cat.
Well, I wanted to fight you. It was a joke.
Right.
I do not have
Up here.
permission.
Yay!
The hockey game's on, so I'm gonna watch the TV in the game. Cause it's hockey.
TV in the game. Okay, I'm actually. Oh no. Yay!
I'll go mining tomorrow.
Nice! Yay, slimes! Because it still says I need 10 of these for some no reason.
Fantastic here.
A forest sword? What the heck is a forest sword?
I have no idea. Seems like it's a fancy.
You know? Winter root, we need that. Yeah, might need that. Can't pick it up though. I have trash. There. Now I can pick it up.
Oh, it's midnight.
What are you doing to me? Yay, I can finally do that thing. Enter the Adventurers Guild. Right, the core item came for my crack cap. Nice! I gotta eat some stuff.
Oh,
Ooh. Wow, I fell down the stairs. Oh, it's time to go! Crap, we're gonna die in here, you know.
yeah, probably. It's fine.
Oh well. Well, I can at least leave the mine so that I don't lose my crap. Because that would really suck to lose my sword or something. I'm glad you got your stuff, artist. You're super excited, aren't you? I made it inside my doorway. You
Yeah,
made it
that's a
to
step.
bed. She's
Yeah,
got
that's a step.
speed. She's got her turn up walking faster than me though. I can finally craft fertilizer.
I'm fucking tired.
Let's go outside and Never mind.
Oh, now I have to do the thin slimes.
Yeah, it happens.
Shoot, I forgot.
Hey, I just got a gold bar from a thing.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Need to buy some grass
Probably. We did.
so that we'll
technically
get. I
skip a
don't
little
know
bit.
that we'll get large eggs until we get grass.
Can me and Alex like throw the football around, or what the hell?
That would be cool. But
Where's the football?
Level 60.
nice.
Hey, there's a lot of iron in here right now.
Oh, I had to go check on my girl. Sorry.
Did you go to the mine and get any copper yet?
I will be
Uh,
there. I will
uh-huh.
be there. I had to get the newspaper.
I'm giving Michigan an assignment.
I was getting the newspaper. You know, the newspaper can't read itself.
This is true.
Sorry,
Hi Matthew! Welcome, welcome, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing awesome.
you guys know this map way
Hee. Donate to the museum. I'll donate this purple thing. And And then I
Keep
will
it.
throw this up here. That sounds good. Bunch of new rewards. And we got to collect a bunch of things. More seeds. Thunder seeds. Nice. And we'll go do some trash things. Trash panda things, because they're giving me a little bit of copper. And a cola. I have tons of seeds, but I just don't feel like dealing with seeds and planting until we have only auto waters. That's terrible. Even though I need to get my gardening level up, or I'll never be able to buy those things to auto water.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, is the copper in any level or?
It's usually in the first few.
Yeah, the first couple levels, the easy levels. And also make sure you have your fire ring equipped and use your purple sword.
Yeah, go though. It's copper. Sorry.
Oop. You got you on the laptop? Sweet! We're on your lap.
Ooh.
We're on Artist's lap.
And I just hit 70.
Let's see.
Oh, that's what copper looks like. Sorry.
And then I'm going to go shop. I sell to him that and those. Because I don't need them. And I forgot to give him a beer too. Can I get to him? Oh. Already donated to him today. I can't donate to the kids. But Jody, I can. It's not gonna tell me. So we're just gonna poke catch anyway and see if we get it. Poke catch. I keep forgetting all the things I need to do. You know what? I have an idea.
Oh, you guys caught it. $75.
Where do you want the copper?
You can put it in the purple chest in my house if you want.
You good?
That would be so awesome. Yum, 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 yum. And if you want to help me square up this field, it'd be awesome too. Because it is out of shape.
Look. It was squared up.
That's
And
right. I'm
we-
still
I
getting
didn't have
copper.
enough to plant it.
Yeah. I might have it done by the time he gets there anyway.
Yeah, I'm still doing my thing.
I just have a bunch of seeds and I'm just going to go ahead and stick them in the ground and hope for the best. Other than the star fruit and the ancient seed, I'm not sticking those in the ground yet. Figured those are probably best for the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Stop hurting me. Just please do not kill the bat with your ring on. Oh.
80.
It should rain soon. Right, rain? Oh, those are summer seeds.
I hope so.
I planted all the seeds I could plant. I think it's bigger than that.
How much do you think I weigh?
Yeah. I forgot we got like super advanced watering. Oh. So it doesn't take as long anymore because you just pull down the button. Except for I'm out of water. Yay, we caught it, artist. Thank you for all the copper, dang.
I'm about
Did
to
I
say
have
it was
that?
not me.
Wasn't me.
I'm just trying to find my way back.
Furniture check. I'll put seeds in here too. So why not? Seeds, seeds, seeds. Furniture, seeds, weapons. Anything else can go in here that is miscellaneous. It doesn't need to go to the community center. Doot.
Yeah, do you need stone or anything? I got a lot of stone.
Yeah, you can drop anything you want in that chest. I'll take it. I'll go build stuff with it. Like chicken coops and stuff. You catching them all lately?
Didn't do much in the thing.
It's time to sleep. Oh, do you have any slimes? I need 100 slime. I'm trying so hard to collect 100 slime.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back in my house because these bats are crazy.
Yeah. Oh, wrong chest.
Well, the same thing.
I need slimes. Probably go raid everybody's chest and see who has slimes and what in the morning.
Oh shoot, I need to go to bed. What am I doing?
We definitely need to go to bed.
Oh shit.
Well, I was in my house. I just figured, you know,
I don't want to sleep yet. I'm trying to pet the cat.
Stuff.
How do I pet the cat without going to bed? There. Never mind. I can't. Cat's in my bed. Should count. But yeah, this might be my last Stardew day. Since everybody's gone already.
Yeah, we can. do our thing.
Well, I mean, we might do one more whole day. That's what I'm saying. One more whole day. And then we'll go to sleep.
So long.
I just passed out inside your house.
I told you.
At least you made it indoors.
Yeah.
And you should be safe. And you shouldn't lose any of your items. Unless me or Michigan stole from you. Then that would be bad.
I stole everything.
And yet I still did not put my own.
Oh. Okay, sorry.
Egg festivals tomorrow.
I got a quest.
So we can start back up with Egg Festival for everyone. Flowers are so pretty. Alright, I'm gonna see if Rose has any slime. I'm sure she doesn't want her slime. She has one whole slime. Michigan, do you have anything in your house? Nope.
A couple
Your
chairs.
watering can and some wood?
Hell yeah. I have
Stealing
4K
people's
TV
slime.
in there, just don't steal that.
Because this is the kind of things I go into people's house for, is their like one sole piece of slime they have. Because I'm that weirdo that wants to play with the slime, apparently.
You go into people's houses, and then...
Mm-hmm. There's no slimes in there either. Dang it. Is Rain hoarding all the slime? I bet she has a bunch of slime.
But she have 100,000.
Oh, I have 99 slime now after Greg in her house. Rain, you know you don't have your boots on, do you? Dear?
I
You
have a
your
different
boots
pair of boots on.
Okay.
Also, it looks like Rose is hoarding some copper.
Yeah, I saw. That's fine. Not worried about it.
That's fine.
Probably would have gave it to you if she was able.
She can hoard all the copper.
Yeah.
I just need one slime. It's so dumb.
Go kill a slime.
I know, right?
If I knew that's how you do it, then I would have done it.
Right?
Only thing I know what to do is sit in front of the bar and wait until it's open.
Michigan, you wanna go get me a slime out of the mine?
Hold on, let me go call my agent.
Go
You
kill me a
also water
slime.
the crops.
Yeah, what are the
No,
crops to
give
kill
me
some?
all the work.
Yeah! You can water
Yeah,
the
we've been
crops.
doing most of it
Daddy, Mom.
anyway.
Mona.
No, oh my
Hi,
god. I
Turtle.
just wanted to watch the ESPN.
Turtle, come here. I'll put you to work. I need somebody to water the crops.
No, I'm going to the mine. That sounds a lot better. If we can actually go this way.
I'll go. You'd like that too much.
You did. Even though you guys are doing most of the work, but I'm gonna sit here and complain.
Dude, construct. Can I do this silo yet, please? I can finally do the silo. Then I'll put it next to the thingamajiggy. Let's see. Let's put,
Went the wrong way. I hate this map.
nah, let's put it on this side. Well, that's gonna be tall and annoying. I can put it there, I guess. Oh, because then it just blocks the view of the silo. Where the heck do I want to put this thing? Oh, the thing. I'll put it here. I know it's a weird spot, but that's where I'm putting it for now. Yay! Man, we can buy all the fancy things in there. Now I know where Rain's buying all the stuff. Telephone. Workbench. Golden pillar. Need a golden pillar on the farm. I don't know what it does. Modern lamp.
Pillar.
I know. I bought a golden pillar. Leave me alone. I'm excited.
Oh,
I love
shit,
your hat.
You're building a thing. I can't upgrade my thing.
Yeah, building the important stuff. We gotta get the silo up for the animals.
I don't give a shit about that.
The animals that I don't even have, because I thought Prince was gonna buy them, so I walked away and he didn't buy them.
Nope.
I was like, what? Prince, you had one job. Because I wanted to dig in the trash. I'm sorry. What if I gave you a pizza to make up for it? Will that make you happy?
Leave my man alone.
Oh, he already said he's already given you 2 gifts this week. He doesn't like me anyway. Purchase animals. Chickens. Choop. Britchies. I thought it said something else.
You know what?
I'm
Just
gonna
get rid
leave-
of the R.
I'm gonna leave it. Let people mispronounce it. Zebert.
I got
had to have
I got
had-
1 slime. Is that good enough? I don't know.
Yeah, you just need one.
Yeah.
What?
Good enough.
I don't even know what that is.
Touchy?
Leave it. That's weird.
Who has all the armor? Who's all
Oh, that's
armor?
me.
You have a lot of armor.
I found a hat.
You an
in
armor, bro?
mine.
Oh no.
I'm gonna
These
put
are
this
some weird names.
here.
It's gonna be. No, she left. I didn't finish buying the last 2 cows. Woman, I wasn't done shopping. How rude.
Well, lunchtime is exactly at 4:10.
She's so rude. I wasn't done shopping and she just like walked out on me. She's like, no, ma'am, we're done. We're closed. Bye. Like, really? She had enough of my shenanigans.
I'll just put the copper there.
I didn't buy things fast enough, apparently.
My slime. Oh, there you go. There you go. I put the slime in that one. I don't know what chest you have, but that's.
Thank you. Much appreciated. And some foraging, and now I got to go to the community center, and then I gotta water crops. And then I can meet you at the bar if you help me water crops.
That's what we got. No, it's Friday. Actually, it's a busy day.
No one caught it. I didn't even try, dude. How did I walk in and then stuff happened? Oh, you're in here. Did you just do the gold bar and the silver one?
No, I just did the gold bar.
Because I came here, I just crafted a gold bar. Okay.
I told you I had one drunk.
I don't even know. Okay, so we still need a ruby, an aquamarine, and an emerald. Is that the money one? Oh gosh. I'm jumping all over the place because of the money one. I was like, I can't even control my character right now. Because I acted like one of the Junipers.
There we go. That was an easy one to complete.
What does that unlock?
Shit. What was it? The mine cards, I think.
Oh, it's 10 eggs? Oh my god, we got 10 eggs by now. Says
Let's
Annie.
look at that.
We got 10 eggs. A ticket? It wants a prize ticket. Well now.
Oh, rude.
And ice cream from some. And a doll. That creepy ancient doll.
The salmon berries are gonna be more reasonable than the fucking doll.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we have a thing of cookies hanging out somewhere.
I'm sure we have 10 eggs by now, too. Hi, Wiggles! Hello, hello, hello! How are you this evening, Wiggles? I hope you're doing awesome.
I do have an ancient seed.
I saw that I needed a carrot.
Yeah, the crops. Spring crops. Which is the shaky
There it
one
is.
at the very top.
Carrot. Okay. We didn't plant any green beans yet, did we?
Actually, Rose did.
So we just need to water them. How's everyone doing? It is a good day. It's Friday. Yes, it is. It's Friday. Friday. Brent said he had accidentally kicked his power strips. That's why he never joined back in.
What?
That's why he never joined back in. That's why he disappeared.
Oh, Prince. Little bit.
Good.
Why am I knocked out?
I don't know. You might have gotten
you, like-
attacked by,
Critters?
I was
if
actually
you were sitting outside.
I was trying to give you guys beers before, like, you know, we closed it down, and then I got beat up. Well, at least I woke up at the hospital after our last day.
And that's a good thing.
Does they have therapy here? Because I might need it. No, they don't have it. Damn.
Are you getting bullied or anything? Did you overwater and pass out?
No, I was sitting outside of
Not that.
actually your house.
I don't think
waiting.
any of us watered. It's okay.
Oh gosh.
I was sitting outside your house waiting to, like, cheers for the end, you know, the journey, and then I was dead.
No.
Because I was going to the bathroom.
My fat boy.
Either or, that's a good time.
Trying to water something because I know she has the cauliflower and the green beans that are so important.
You're welcome, Puddles.
Dad should be proud of me. I watered her crops. Probably. Even at the sake of my own death, because the stupid bat won't leave you alone. I don't know whose crops these are.
Princess.
I watered Summer Princess flowers. There. We have a random pillar. And I'm gonna go in, if I can, dank slimes. There's a cat in my bed, but I'm gonna go to sleep before I die. It's a good day. It's Friday. It's
It's a bus stop.
Bus stop! We can already go to the desert. That's nice.
And
Toppers!
we
With
get to
mushroom love.
experience the event that happens there too.
Yeah.
In our first year.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Let
Okay.
me check when that is. Oh shit! It already. Oh no, it didn't pass. Okay, so like this day is gonna be the egg festival, then it's Haley's birthday, and then 15th, 16th, 17th is the event.
Desert Festival, I see that. Cool. Yeah, I bought a calendar too. I was like,
Heck
a
yeah.
calendar in my house. Alright. That's it, folks. We're gonna exit for the day. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for putting up with our shenanigans tonight. I hope you enjoyed the start of stream with our little fire rings and explosiveness and destroying things we didn't want to destroy. Next stream I'll have some other surprise planned. So for group 1, by the way. Group 2 stream will be back to normal vanilla mode when I do that one. Stretch break posture check. I'll posture check, but I'll have to stretch break off stream, drink water. You're trolling me, man. Let's see. But yes. And you could have joined us tonight if you had felt like it. And you can join us next time for group 1 if you wish. But yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Happy Friday. I hope you're doing awesome. Thank you for everything. But yeah, we can hang out in regular voice chat in my Discord for a bit. Probably not too long for me. It was a really long week. But yeah.
It was a very long.
But I survived. Barely. But I survived. But yeah. You guys are awesome. Thank you again. I don't know what I got planned next for next time. I kind of have an idea. Open the sneaky suggestions too. So, we'll see. And I will catch you guys later. Let's do some ending thingamajigs and credit stuff and who knows, whatever that stuff's called. You know? Have a good evening. We'll be in voice chat levels if you want to join. We'll be in regular voice chat. But yeah. Catch you guys later. Gotta find all my buttons. Good night, everyone. Bye. Beat me up, Mono. Woo woo. No, I can't do that. That. Good night, everyone.